These are the topics of Srimad Bhagavatam, the fifth canto. So we'd be discussing about Priyavrata Maharaj, and then his son Agnidhara, then his son Nabhi, and Nabhi's son is the incarnation of the Supreme Lord Rishaba. So we'll complete until chapter 6 of the fifth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam today. And then next class we'll be discussing chapters 7 through 9, which is the topics of Bharat Maharaj. That's a very interesting story. You probably heard about Bharat Maharaj, and that's how India has the name Bharat from this great king. And then he got attached to a deer, and then he's born as Jada Bharat. All that we'll discuss in the next class, but today we'll see how his forefathers ruled the world, and then how he became the king. In the next class we'll discuss that. So we'll start with Priyavrata. As I was discussing, Priyavrata was performing spiritual activities, only focusing on spiritual life, and he was getting instructions from his guru Narada Muni, but then Brahma came there, and he said, you have to live a householder's life now, and that's what your father Swayambhu Manu also wants. But Priyavrata was slightly, he wanted to follow his grandfather's instruction, but he was also thinking, hey, if I go into household life, then I have to interfere with all worldly affairs, and I might lose focus. So he was in an indecision, and then Brahma gives him all the important lessons about a person who is advanced spiritually will not lose his spiritual level of understanding if he goes into family life also, is explained by Brahma. And the obstacles that we find in doing worship for the Lord, it comes from only two reasons. One is because if you offended some devotee, and the reactions of that might cause you from stopping to do any worship for the Lord. Another would be if the Lord himself wants you to go through some of these obstacles and difficulties, because that's the best thing for your progress. So Brahmaji says there is no other reason that, and clearly Priyavrata Maharaj is getting this opportunity because it's God's will that the world needs to be ruled by a good king. So you have to now come to family life. So they were in the Gandhamadana hill. So Priyavrata Maharaj and Narada Muni, they were discussing about the Lord there. Now you can see how Narada Muni is such a great teacher. He is a teacher of so many wonderful personalities. He made devotees out of anybody can mention who we discussed in previous classes that Narada Muni inspired to become great devotees. Any name anybody can think about? How about Vyasadev? Vyasadev, who is even writing this, was instructed by Narada Muni to, hey, you have compiled all the Vedas and you wrote the Mahabharata, but still you're not happy because you didn't glorify the Supreme Lord in bhakti. And that's what gives you the greatest happiness. So he's writing this because of Narada Muni's inspiration. And then we know Narada Muni inspired Dhruva. Remember, we discussed how Dhruva left the kingdom in search of the Lord, and he didn't know what to do. And then Narada Muni gave him the great mantra, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. That's what we recite before starting Srimad Bhagavatam. That great mantra was given by Narada Muni. We know Narada Muni has instructed Prachina Barhi, and then he instructed the Prachetas as well after they ruled the world. Though the Prachetas' original guru was Lord Shiva, who gave them Rudra Gita to chant, and then they became so purified, and they were great devotees of the Lord. So we can see different places in the scriptures where Narada Muni is playing a pivotal role. Also, the person who wrote Ramayana, Valmiki, was inspired by Narada Muni, because Valmiki was none other than a hunter, and he was killing animals, and the only thing he could say was kill, kill, kill. And that the word for that is Mara. So Narada Muni knows the exact instructions to give each disciple. So he gave just chant Mara, Mara, because that's the only word you know. But then Valmiki was chanting Mara, 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 Rama. It became Rama, Rama, Rama. So an expert teacher knows how to instruct his disciple at the level that he's in and slowly purify him. Also, we just discussed about Damodara Ashtakam, and Santoshji and Nitinji were reading the verse where Narada Muni was the one who cursed Nalakuvera and Manigriva, were the sons of Kuvera, and they became trees, and they became part of the Lord's Damodara pastimes. So Narada Muni, even his curse is a blessing, because they were able to see all these wonderful pastimes and become great devotees. So such Narada Muni and King Priyavrata were together when Brahmaji came, and then Narada Muni agreed that this is the best thing to do. So then Priyavrata started getting into worldly affairs, and he got married, and his wife's name was Barishmati, and Barishmati and Priyavrata had 10 sons. And he had another wife, Urjvati, and with that wife he had 3 sons. And so his second wife's name is not mentioned. So Priyavrata and the second wife had Uttama, Tamasa, and Raivata, and they were the 3 sons who became the Manus. Or Manu is the ruler of the world in a Manvantara. And Manvantara is one day of Brahma is divided into 14 Manvantaras. And so the 3rd, 4th, and 5th Manvantaras were ruled by Priyavrata's 3 sons, Uttama, Tamasa, and Raivata. So Priyavrata Muni, he was initially a brahmachari, but then he came to family life. So he's contributing so much to the world by giving such wonderful children who are doing such good service to the Lord. So Priyavrata ruled for many years, and then he was, because he was in the material world, he was very focused on his wife. And then he also, he was dissatisfied with the sun's movement. So he actually became like the sun, illuminating the darker parts of the universe. And then he was the one with his chariot made 7 continents, or the 7 islands. And then he was the one who made the 7 oceans. And then he had 7 sons himself, who were Kshatriyas. So earlier we discussed that a few sons became celibates or brahmacharis, this Kavi, Mahavira, and Savana. But the remaining 7 who were Kshatriyas, they became the rulers of the 7 islands that he carved out with his chariot wheels. And then he had a daughter, Urjaswati. Urjaswati married Shukracharya. We know he's the guru of the of the Asuras, and their daughter was Devayani. And Devayani's story we'll discuss later in Srimad Bhagavatam. But then, all these stories are connected, so this is good thing to know. And Priyavrata ruled the world so awesome, and he was able to do such great things like make 7 islands, illuminate the dark portions of the universe um, by impersonating the sun, and he was and the sun was not unhappy with because Priyavrata is doing good things for the universe. Um, then Priyavrata, because he was focused only on material and material duties, he later, after he entrusted his sons with the kingdom, he went and focused only on the Lord, and and resumed his spiritual activities. And with Narada Muni, his spiritual master's grace, he went back home, back to Godhead. So the lot of glories for Priyavrata Maharaj. Then Priyavrata Maharaj's one of the sons' name is Agnidhara. Now we'll discuss about his story. Agnidhara was given one of the 7 islands, and that's those seven. One of those 7 islands is called Jambudvipa, and that Jambudvipa is ruled by Agnidhara. And Agnidhara was wanting a good wife, so he went to the Pitraloka, and he was meditating with his eyes slightly open because he knew that many beautiful ladies came there. So he had slight material tinge of um, enjoying beautiful woman. So he was in this place in the Pitraloka looking for a beautiful woman, and Brahma, knowing um, his grandson's desire, he sent Purvachiti, who is a celestial dancer in his assembly, and Purvachiti is very beautiful. And then Agnidhara became attracted to her and married her, and then had 9 sons, the oldest of who is Nabhi. Um, and then the 9 sons were given 9 tracts of land in Jambudvipa. So out of the seven islands, one is Jambudvipa, and then that's again divided into 9, starting with Uttara Kuru Varsha, Hiranmaya Varsha, Ramayaka Varsha, Ketumala, Ilavrita, and Bhadra Varsha, Hari Varsha, Kimpurusha Varsha, and Bharata Varsha. So all these 9 tracts of land were given to the 9 sons, and then that's the end of the story of Agnidhara. And since he was very attracted to his wife, when he left his body, he went to Pitraloka because she was serving there, so he went to that world. That's mentioned. And then the important personality then is Nabhi. Nabhi, who had married Miru Devi. So the 9 sons had married the 9 daughters of Miru, and Nabhi and Miru Devi had this son called Rishaba Deva. So Rishaba Deva is the next person in the dynasty who is actually the incarnation of the Lord himself. So this Miru Devi and Nabhi did not have any kids, so they were very sad, and they were praying to the Lord. But again, with the material desire to have a son, they weren't great devotees. But if you approach the Lord with material desires or without material desires, the Lord is the right person to pray to. So this is proving that being a Vaishnava and praying to the Lord is the best. So they prayed, and then the Lord said he himself will become the son of Nabhi. And then And actually, Nabhi, though he was just wanting a son who was very perfect to rule his kingdom and be proud of, materially proud of a son, he then developed Vatsalya towards the Lord in pure bhakti. So that's why if you go to the Lord even with material desires, uh, going to the Lord is the best. So because with his benedictions you can actually purify yourself. So the Lord appeared, and the Lord was very happy with Nabi um, and Madhu Devi, and they got the son Rishaba Dev. Rishaba Dev is, of course, the incarnation of the Lord. He was the best king when he became king, and the very meaning of the word Rishaba means best of human beings. And Indra became very envious of Rishabhadev because he was a very good king, and of course, when the Lord Himself becomes a king, and who can beat him? But Indra, he's known for his envy of others, so he tried to stop rain on the kingdom, but Rishabhadev, being the Supreme Lord himself, was able to manifest the rain so that there could be good cultivation and crops and everything. And finally, just like in the Govardhan Leela, where Indra comes and begs for mercy of the Lord, Indra came and he praised um, Rishabhadev, and he gave a wife to Rishabhadev. So Rishabhadev married Jayanti and had 100 sons. So now Rishabhadev's main intention of incarnation was to show the Varnashrama Dharma. Now, in this world today, there is a lot of casteism, and people are, um, fighting with each other. One caste fights with the other. So the Lord is showing that even Rishabhadev, who was born as a Kshatriya, he had 81 Brahmana sons who are perfectly qualified Brahmanas. So this is proving that, by birth, one doesn't become a Brahmana. It is by your quality and your activities that you become a Brahmana. So we can see that Rishabha Dev and Jayanti had 9 Kshatriya sons and 9 Mahabhagavatas, or called Nava Yogendras, and they're discussed later in the 11 cantos. They are like the Vaishnavas, and then 81 Brahmanas and 9 Kshatriyas. So this is proving to the world, but everybody misinterprets the teachings of the Lord, and they take it in the wrong direction by saying that anybody born, mostly people who are born in the Brahmana family, they follow all the principles, and they are raised as Brahmanas. But if they become demoniac, then they cannot be called Brahmanas. So similarly, here the sons were born to a Kshatriya father and mother, but they are becoming Brahmanas by their quality of worshipping the Lord. So he had 9 Kshatriya sons, 9 Mahabhagavatas, and 81 Brahmana sons. So Rishabhadev, of course, is the Lord. He has the best quality, and everybody was very, very happy with his rule. And during his rule, the citizens were completely satisfied, and there was no misery at that time. So Rishabhadev, next is the teachings of Rishabhadev to his sons. So his teachings are: human life is not for sense gratification, but to endeavor for Brahma Saukyam, or personal. We have to try to learn about the Lord with this human life. Don't just live like animals. and just satisfy your tongue to eat good and smell good, um, smell, taste, touch, and we are all going behind that. But we should also try to endeavor to understand the Lord. So he's giving these basic teachings to his son. Um, then you have to serve the great personalities, serving the Mahatmas. Um, so you shouldn't associate with people who are too attracted with the opposite gender. So they're always talking about the opposite gender and how if that those kind of company is bad is discussed here by Rishabhadev. Um, and then he discussed about the devotees have the best qualities because they are associated with the Lord all the times. um, and then if you're just not thinking about the Lord and just thinking about your senses, then you get into this cycle of life and death. So you're in perpetual, means constantly you're going from one body to the other. So we have been doing that for multiple lifetimes. So why don't we, spare some time to spend for the Lord? Just like all of you are trying to learn about the Lord. But others, they even when they're given the opportunity, they don't want to do anything. So for them, it is just cycle of life and death. But then you're making a lot of progress because you're coming to class and learning about the Lord. And Rishabhadev is teaching his sons all of these wonderful qualities. So without inquiry of Atma Tattva, with mind as Karmatmaka, transmigration is sure. So if people just follow some ritual just for the sake of doing it, they are still going to be in the cycle. The only way is to understand who you truly are, who is God, who are you. These important aspects need to be understood so that we can approach the Lord correctly. So um, so he says that with this knowledge about the Lord, then the love for the Lord or bhakti will come in the heart. And then he mentioned about the knots of illusion. So the basic issue with this material world is there's attraction between male and female, and everything they're doing in this world is because of that attraction and wanting to be with each other. And that is the only thing that's driving the material world. So that is important to have children, etc., but then that's not the only thing in life, is what we should understand as pursuants of bhakti yoga. um, so um, Rishabhadev is bringing up all these good points, that these are like knots in our heart that are keeping us in the cycle of life and death. And how to get liberation, and he gives good instructions of how to um, you know follow bhakti and get out of this knots. And then he mentioned that nobody should become a leader who is not a devotee, because only a devotee should be a good leader so that they can guide who they are leading in the right path. Everybody is just leading others to death and cycle of life and death. So a right person, and all of you are leaders in your own right, in your own life. So you will have an opportunity to teach others about the Lord. And if you're not willing to do that, it's a very blunt statement by Rishabhadev, then you shouldn't become a father, guru, or king if you're not willing to instruct ignorant people about the Lord. So quickly complete a few more slides and then we'll go to the Kahoot. Sorry, we are running late today. So the Lord and his devotees is one family, and the Rishabhadev glorifies the Brahmanas, that because Brahmanas are always focused on the Lord, just by inviting Brahmanas to your house and giving them good prasadam, the Lord tastes food through the mouths of the Brahmanas, is what Rishabhadev teaches his sons. Um, so you got to respect all jivas, but worship the Lord at all times. So worshiping the Lord is a higher concept and a more higher priority. And then Rishabhadev enthroned his son. His out of his 100 sons, Bharata was the eldest. So he gives the kingdom to Bharata, and he becomes an avaduta, and follows a practice called Ajigara Vritti. Again, the Lord is trying to show that we are not the body. So he's the greatest king, but then he gave up all worldly pleasures and just became roaming around. As you can see, uh, that he doesn't care for his body anymore. It's called like he's living like a python. What he's just laying there, and then whatever comes to him, he would eat. There's dust on him, people not caring for him and beating him, or all those. He's just showing that the body will soon die, and he's highly exalted. He had all kind of siddhis, the ashta siddhis, but he didn't use any of that. um, and Sukadev, and then suddenly, the story, suddenly the conversation switched between Sukadev Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. Those they are talking about all these stories. So then Parikshit Maharaj, oh, why didn't he use his magic and all that he had, the Ashtasiddhis? And then she said, no, Ashtasiddhis are not supposed to be used because you get bound to it. And he says, if you get any mystic powers due to your spiritual activities, that's not supposed to be exhibited. And he says that the mind is like an unchaste woman. So this is like a wife who has other lovers. Our mind is like that, is what um, um, uh, Sukadev Goswami says. So, eh, so we shouldn't. And mind is the root cause of the six enemies, like lust, anger, greed, pride. So everything is in the mind, and because the mind controls our body, so we have to clear our mind and focus our mind on Krishna. Rishabhadev was focusing on this life, as a Python man or as an Avaduta, um, and he, as you can see, is walking around naked and nobody cared for him. But then, because he was so exalted and he's actually the supreme personality of Godhead, even his stool and urine was so fragrant, it would give fragrance for 80 miles. It is said that he was living a carefree life like that. But then many people misinterpreted that, and they started following that without any devotion to the Lord. But that is not to be followed. They don't take the right instructions from Rishabhadev of what he gave his sons, but they just look at, oh, this person is not taking a bath, he's just walking around naked. So there are many upper sampradayas today, if you go to India, where there are folks who follow this just for the sake of following something. They do that, but not the actual essence of what Rishabhadev was trying to teach the world. So any teaching is subject to misinterpretation, right? So then Rishabhadev, he went into the forest, and there was a forest fire, and then he left this world. And any and every living entity that was in that forest went back home, got back to Godhead, because the Lord wanted to take everybody in that forest fire back home with him. So that's how Rishabhadev left his planet. And we'll stop our class here and then go to the Kahoot. There are 20 questions, and I'm sorry it's taking more time than we usually do. But I appreciate if you can stay and play the Kahoot. So if you can put in the game pin, it is 634 8647. You can also scan this QR code from your phone. 6348647. Nitinji has joined. He looks like Albert Einstein. Nobody else has joined. Okay, Santosh ji has joined. So we'll have a competition, a spiritual competition, but everybody who participates are winners. Meenakshi ji has joined. Tarun ji, should we wait for you or start?
Prabhuji, please wait.
Okay, sure. Prabhuji, please. Tarun Prabhu can also join. We can wait. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Looks like Taranji
Yes,
is also
Prabhuji,
joined.
let us start.
Okay, this is chapter 1 through 6 of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5. Why do obstacles appear in bhakti for a devotee? We discussed two reasons. Offending a Vaishnava, the Lord's desire, not due to time and karma, all of the above. All of the above is the right answer. Excellent job. Oh, Taranji couldn't answer. I wonder if he dropped. Okay, who was the guru of Priyavrata, son of Swayambhuva Manu? Dhruva, Uttanapad, Narada, Agnidhara. Yes, Narada Muni. We discussed what a great guru he is. All of you got it right. Excellent job. Okay, true or false? Brahma convinced Priyavrata to leave brahmacharya life and enter household life. True or false? Yes. Brahma convinced him. That's why Priyavrata, he left. Narada Muni agreed that he should do that. Dash was the wife of Priyavrata. Marisha, Barishmati, Vedavati, Archi. Very good. You got it right. That's excellent. Barishmati. Okay. How many islands and oceans did Priyavrata create with his chariot wheel? 1, 2, 3, or 7? 7. Awesome. Very good. Nitinji is on fire. Santoshji is in first place. All of you are very close. Priyavrata went back to renounce life after giving his kingdom to his sons. True or false? True. Very good. Where did Agnidhara rule? Jambudvipa, Harivarsha, Kimpurusha Varsha, Ramayaka. So out of the 7 islands, which one was that? It's Jambudvipa. Very good. Excellent job. True or false? Agnidhara, desirous of a perfect son, became an inhabitant of Pitraloka and worshipped Brahma in Mandara Hills Valley. Yes. So Agnidhara, he went to the Pitraloka with his half open eyes to find a good girl to marry also. Who was the wife of Agnidhara, dancing girl in Brahma's assembly? Purvachitti, Barishmati, Maricha, and Archi. Purvachitti, very good. Santoshi is back in first place. 10th question. Nabhi was the son of Dash and husband of Miru Devi, Priyavrata, Swayambhu Manu, Agnidhara, Brahma. Agnidhara. Awesome. All of you got it right. That's excellent. Oh. True or false? Nabhi was praying to Lord Vishnu with material desires of having son like the Lord. True or false? Yes. He approached Lord with material desires, but then the Lord himself was born, and then he became full of bhakti. The Lord appeared as Dash, son of Nabhi and Meru Devi, Agnidhara, Rishabhadev, Vishnu, Brahma. Yes. So Nabhi's father is Agnidhara, Nabhi's son is Rishabhadev. Very good. Indra was envious of Rishabhadev. True or false? True. Very good. Rishabhadev married Jayanti given by Indra and had dash sons. 1, 5, 10, 100. Yes, 100. And we describe how the 100 sons had different denominations. A few of them became Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Mahabhagavatas. And Jayanti was the wife given by Indra to Rishabhadev. True or false? The mission of Rishabhadev's incarnation was to teach about Varnashrama system. True or false? True. Yes. So he's showing by his example with his sons. Rishabha says Rishabha's sons were dash 10 Kshatriyas, 9 Mahabhagavatas, 81 Brahmanas. 9 Kshatriyas, 10 Mahabhagavatas, 81 Brahmanas. Okay, all of you answered already. Number 1 is the right answer. 81 of his sons were Brahmanas, and 10 became Kshatriyas, and 9 became Mahabhagavatas. What did Rishabhadev teach his sons? Life should not be used for sense gratification. From a human body, one can be delivered or fall down. Persons obsessed with the opposite gender will fall down. All of the above is the right answer, and all of you got it right. Okay, 15,000 for Santoshi. Rishabhadev remained a ruler until he left the material world. True or false? False. We know he became a Python man or a person wandering around with no clothes. It's called Ajigara Vritti, or yeah, it's like complete renunciation. So, second last question. Rishabhadev displayed his 8 siddhis, mystic powers, to attract people. False. So even though he had all these siddhis, he never took it out. Last question for today. Sukadev described the mind as dash. Restless, unchaste wife, root cause of 6 enemies, all of the above. Yes, all of the above is the right answer. So we shouldn't trust a restless mind. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, the mind can be a greatest friend or a greatest enemy. So if we are in the material consciousness, it's the greatest enemy. But if we are in God consciousness or Krishna consciousness, it's our greatest friend. Okay, Meenakshi ji is in 3rd place. She's a fox. Nitin ji Einstein is in 2nd place, and 1st place goes to Santosh ji, who's a frog with nice sunglasses. Okay, and Tarun ji, all of you are winners. Congratulations. Thank you for learning Srimad Bhagavatam every week with me, because when I prepare for class, I learn myself. Thank you for the opportunity. Hare Krishna and happy Kartik month.
Hari Bol, Prabhuji.
Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpata rupasya kripa sindhuti eva cha. Patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.